to stop them. I don't realize I should be stopping them. And so they keep moving and moving. And within a very short space of time, I, who had been feeling quite okay with myself and with others around me, there was that sense of well-being and goodness. And in just a few minutes, somehow all of that has gone, and I'm not feeling so good anymore. And usually we don't realize that this is what has happened, that I have wounded myself with my own thoughts, that I've deflated myself and allowed my happiness to disappear. And when you begin to examine what's going on inside in this way, you realize the power of thoughts, but you realize also the amazing creativity that's possible, and how as soon as a thought comes, if you're aware and alert, instead of letting it move in a critical direction, what you do is move it in a positive direction, and you appreciate, and you look at the same person but with a different consciousness, a different attitude, and you appreciate them for who they are, not just the clothes and the makeup they have, but for who they are. And you see them as your sister, your brother, because that is the reality. On the external level, yes, different countries, different races, different religions, everything's different. And there's a big, big chasm between us. But from the spiritual dimension, one family. And going into myself and connecting with my own inner being means I can then start relating to you as members of my family and appreciating you in that way. And when I change the quality of my thoughts and they become appreciative thoughts, the comeback of that for me personally is that I feel very comfortable and content within. And when I'm aware of this, then I start using the power of silence in terms of little pauses. I see something, I hear something, and in a pause, I remind myself of who I am, the being of light, and I remind myself of who you are, not the differences of the external form, but the unity of the inner being and the connection which is an eternal connection that we have. And in that connection, there's a healing that happens in terms of my own feelings, but also in terms of the quality of relationship that we can begin to have. How many things from the past do I carry? Well, I am what my past has made me. That's the reality. And so I can't even count how many things I carry within myself. Everything that I am is what has been created from the past. But that creation isn't always a very healthy creation. I carry feelings that are not so good. I carry feelings that are not so positive, both in terms of people, places, situations. I come to a place and I've already carried a feeling with myself about it. Maybe a good feeling, in which case I'm prepared for good things to happen. But sometimes I have a fear of a place, or maybe a memory of that place which isn't such a pleasant one. And so I approach that place with trepidation, and I'm already closed. I'm not allowing myself to be open to whatever it is that's there in store for me now. And the same thing with people. I remember not just my encounter with you yesterday, I remember many, many, many encounters from the past. There's a whole album of snapshots that I'm carrying within myself. And again, maybe it's an accumulation which is a beautiful one, and I approach you with a lot of love. But maybe it's not that. And yet when I approach somebody with feelings that are not so good, feelings that I haven't dealt with and I haven't been able to heal, I'm coming already with a huge amount of baggage, and I'm not really giving that individual a chance. Is that right? And so, of course then, my encounter is less than pleasant, but in fact, it's been a self-fulfilling prophecy. I say, you see, I knew this would happen. But I've forgotten that I actually made it happen like that. It needn't have happened like that, but I made it happen like that. And so all the things that we carry need a lot of cleansing and sorting out. Good things, wonderful, let me keep those. But things that are not so good, how do I heal them? It's not words that can heal the spaces that I carry inside myself, but it's silence. And the silence I'm talking about is not an empty silence. It's not a vacuum. It's a silence in which I'm able to connect with the core of my own being, and it's a silence in which I'm able to connect with the divine. Both these things. Maybe there's a question mark about my relationship with the divine. Maybe there's a question mark about the existence of the divine. And I understand that, and I appreciate that too. So we'll come back to that in just a minute. But I think it is important that we touch on it tonight. But that step of going inside. There's a very beautiful spiritual concept that people across all traditions accept and believe. But somehow it doesn't always filter through into our life and our activity, which is the case with many, many beliefs. Theoretically we'll agree, but in reality in our life there'll be a gap. And I'm talking about the spiritual principle that states that every human being has goodness within them. Do you agree? I'm seeing some of you nod. And I think those of you who are still thinking about it, that's fine. But as you continue to reflect on it, you'll see that, yes, that is the reality. That the origin, the original state of every human soul is of goodness. And whenever we are in a situation in which there is goodness, we thrive, we blossom, we bloom. I'm thinking about goodness in terms of truth, of love, of peace, of joy. Every time you find yourself in an atmosphere where these qualities are present, time will pass by and you won't even notice how long it's been. And an atmosphere that's contrary to this, you want to run away. You don't want to stay for a moment longer than is essential. And so in a natural way, the qualities of goodness are the experiences that we enjoy, and they relate to the self. We empathize with those, and we feel comfortable with those. There's a connection and a relevance we feel in that context. And so these are the original qualities of the self. And then yes, through our experience in life, there's been layers and layers of dust that we've accumulated. And this is what silence does. Silence helps me go beneath all those layers of dust and accumulation so that I'm able to connect with that goodness that is there within my own being. Have you had the experience when something made you angry, whatever it was, but you found yourself in a place that was very calm, a place that was very quiet, maybe by the river, by the lake, by the ocean? Somehow water has this cooling, soothing effect, not only in terms of the physical, but also in terms of the emotional. And you find yourself in a place like that, and the anger dissolves and melts away. And the soul feels healed through that. Well, that's good fortune if you're able to find such a place in terms of your physical environment. But maybe you work in the heart of the city and there's just concrete blocks everywhere. And there isn't the possibility of running away and going for a walk by the river. Where do you go? You go inside. You find that healing space within yourself. Because anger was the superficial aspect, but go deeper and deeper and deeper inside. Don't stop. Just keep going deeply inside, and you'll find that place of peace that is there within you. Let's try it. We can do it in just a minute. I focus my thoughts on the world inside. I watch my thoughts on the screen of my mind and simply watching my thoughts, the speed slows down. And out of all my thoughts, I select one thought, the thought of peace. I hold this in my mind. And I begin to feel it. And I realize peace is my natural state. Peace is within me. Peace is who I am. I am a being of peace. And in this awareness of peace, peace spreads out into this room and out into the city, and peace reaches out into the world. I come back to the awareness